Well, Yolanda, we seem to have had a bit of a turnaround over the past couple of sessions in markets, not just locally but globally as well. We had some negative data out of the US yesterday, weak pending home sales numbers, worse than expected factory orders, and also after all those strong results that we've been seeing from corporate America, we had a couple of poorer results out from Dow Chemicals and Procter & Gamble, and investors really seeing all of this as an excuse to take some profit.
Yes, Stephen, we saw the markets obviously closing negative yesterday, but what is a bit of a toss in the whole mix is we're seeing Brent spot. We opened up over $82 a barrel, and markets really uneasy and cautious ahead of the employment numbers out this afternoon. So taking more profits today, which is really kind of throwing us off this morning, but we're seeing that the bulk of the value traded on the day is Anglos and Billiton, taking up approximately 20% of the equities traded in the market. And no surprise, we're seeing Anglo Gold and GFI gold stocks moving higher today on that stronger gold price.
Well, you mentioned that ADP jobs report that's coming out this afternoon, and of course this is just a precursor to the non-farm payroll data that we're going to see on Friday. I should imagine that's also going to be a main focus. Just on the ADP numbers, are we looking for any improvements in those stats?
They are looking for an improvement. They're expecting it to move up to 30,000 from the previous number of 13,000, and the challenger numbers are the challenger numbers that are also out this afternoon. Investors use it as an indication of the labour markets are very important, and hopefully will, if those numbers come in better than expected, move us a little bit stronger this afternoon. And we do have a few corporate companies that are reporting today. We saw out of Europe, SocGen really doing well. So hopefully those numbers will just really move us stronger today, Stephen.
Of course, you were talking about some unease in the market, and we've also had the US Fed alluding to possible monetary policy easing even further, buying up mortgage and treasury bonds, and that must indicate that the Fed is not convinced that this recovery is intact.
Yes, Stephen, I think that's why we moved up to our technical level. We saw Anglo's over 300 Rand, and then we saw us come just pop over the key technical level of 25,800 on the Aussie, and so we haven't seen a breach above that. That also, just really adding fuel to the concerns. We saw the GDP numbers out last week, slightly disappointing. So just raising concerns of investors, and we'll have to see what comes out next week.
Well, you were talking about lots of the volumes being focused on Anglos and Billitons at the moment. What are volumes looking like on average on the markets at this stage? Because we did see them dip a little bit last month. Have volumes picked up again? Yes,
Stephen, they have dipped up. We estimate that we've had an average of about 10 billion traded. Yesterday, obviously, we had 12.5 billion approximately traded on the market, and we've seen just over 2.5 billion traded this morning. So depending on the data we see this afternoon, we could see a very strong push, and we could see us reach possibly between 10 and 12 billion on the day.
Let's look at some of the local news we've had. We had some numbers out from African Bank Investments this morning, and it looks pretty good on the face of it. It looks like they are growing sales, and impairments are looking slightly better.
Yes, Stephen, they had a credit platform that they've rolled out, and we're seeing that full implementation coming through, which has reduced costs and definitely improved their earnings. They're seeing an increase on the Illerine side of 9% on a like-for-like basis. So very positive for the stock going forward. It's a pity the results came out on a day where we're seeing a bit of caution and a bit of negativity. We feel that the stock in 2011 could run really hard, so possibly look at that stock to buy it at cheap levels, but a good set of results.
And of course, Ellerine's also looking slightly better, and this was the unit of African Bank that was its Achilles heel last year, but it looks like it is now gaining some traction.
Yes, Stephen, it has. I think what they have been doing is they've been extending their loans, and obviously being very cautious in terms of their sales and who they're actually taking onto their books, and they're able to recoup their losses, their bad debt. So very positive for them, and we have seen a sales increase there. So they are doing something very right in that space.
Sasol are with what it calls a voluntary trading update this morning. It's looking for headline earnings per share to be 0 to 8% higher, and it's looking for earnings per share to be 12 to 20% higher. How are you viewing that? Is that in line with your thinking for the group?
Well, I think it's Sasol has come through a tough trading here. They've had lots of issues in terms of settlements with the competition tribunals. In terms of their numbers, I think they've possibly done well in their chemical clusters. They're probably seeing volumes increase there. In terms of their guidance today, we're expecting that HEPS for FYI 10 would probably be at the top end of 27 Rand and 45 cents. Consensus at the moment is 24 Rand. Just above 24 Rand. So fairly positive for the stock. We will have to see what happens with Brent spot for the rest of the year to determine if they're going to be doing or they're going to achieve that top end at 27.45 in terms of the HEPS for the year.
Just finally, we had a snippet out from Remgro was on the newswires this morning that is planning to sell its 11.8% stake in Nedbank, and we saw those shares in Nedbank coming under quite significant pressure a little earlier in the session. Good news for Remgro, not so good for Nedbank.
Yeah, Stephen, I think with Nedbank it would be a positive turnaround story. They're expecting to return to profits in their next financial year, and we have seen them run up 28% from December 29. And I think investors are looking obviously in a negative light that Remgro has decided to move out of that space. I think the market's possibly not looking at Remgro's view. They've come out to say that the reason for selling Nedbank has that they really want to focus on technology stocks, technology companies. So not a reflection on Nedbank. Very positive for Remgro. We see them up on the day. Really a company that's focused and selling off businesses that are not in view or in focus for their drive for the next 10 years.
And of course, we have Remgro shares down up a third of a percent, so backing the trend, as you say. Nedbank down about 7%. We have to leave it there, Yolanda. Thanks very much for your time today.